Hey, it's Jason Journeyman here, and welcome to the mighty Los Angeles River. Obviously, this isn't your typical kind of river. It's not like the Mississippi or the Hudson or some of these other rivers that you've seen on TV, but we have cement covering the sides here. But also, this part of the river is pretty unique because if you've seen movies like Grease or Terminator, you've seen that the LA River is mostly completely cemented over. It's a big drainage ditch. And today I want to talk about why, and maybe some of the lessons that we can learn about cultural history and ecological history from what happened to this river. So let's go back in time, a long time ago, when the only people that lived around here were the Tongva, Kizh, Gabrielino people. They have been, and still are, the rightful stewards of this land that I stand on right now. They were the protectors of this land. They were the stewards and protectors of this river. The main Tongva village, called Tongva, was right up off of the river. And this river gave them life because water is life. You may have heard that before. What are some ways you can think of that water helps us to survive? I mean, the real obvious one is that we need water to drink when we're thirsty, otherwise we get dehydrated, right? So we need water right then, but that goes for every other plant and animal too. They need water as well. So that means there's fish in the river that the Tongva people could hunt. That means other animals come to the river to drink water, and that's another animal that they could hunt. That means there are plants growing in the river that they figured out after thousands of years of living here that they can eat. They also used the river, diverted it through aqueducts to grow crops next to their village, agriculture. All these ways, food and water, the basic survivals. And what is another thing that we really need to survive? That would be our structure, our house, where we live. And these trees that we have right here behind me are willow trees. They use the long branches of these trees to build houses that they called Kizh, which is one of the names that people call the tribe that lived around here. Big domed houses using the willow trees. They also use the leaves, the willow leaves, which I have some right here, as a pain reliever. The main ingredient in aspirin is found in willow leaves. So they discovered, by being here all this time, that they could get rid of their headache and their fever. They could build houses, they could get the food and water that they need, and use this river to survive. So they protected it. They lived in balance with it because they knew they needed it to continue, otherwise they couldn't live here. That's a really important lesson to think about, right? And over those thousands of years that they lived here, they also learned that the LA River can be really moody. Any of you who live in Southern California or have in the past know that when it rains, it pours, rains really hard, and then most of the rest of the year, it's just sunny and nice, like now. Not so bad, except when it rains a ton, all the water from all the mountains around here funnels down into this river, and that means it can flood. So right now, it's a trickle. If it rains, a big storm, the water is way above my head. Just in this spot right here. The Tongva people knew that. They built their villages a little bit away from the river in a safe space. So let's zoom ahead in time now, into the 1500s. Some Spanish explorers are sailing up the coast. They're like, wow, this place is pretty. Maybe it was spring, maybe they saw all the California poppies blooming orange over all the hills. It was gorgeous. Fields of gold, the Golden State. Maybe they thought, let's hang out here. Let's build some structures here. Let's build a settlement here. They built missions, they built churches, houses, farms. And when they moved in here and did that, they took the land away from the indigenous people who'd been here for thousands of years. And I don't really think that they asked them the right ways to live around here. So that started with those explorers and those conquistadors, and they started building more and more things here, and it turned into eventually a village called Los Angeles, and it became a Spanish pueblo, and then a Mexican village, and then it became an American city. And that all happened through a lot of strife, a lot of terrible times that I don't want to get into in this particular video. But what is for sure is that more and more people kept moving in here. And they kept developing closer and closer to the river. They were building bridges. They were building train tracks. They were building houses right up next to the river. These white European settlers did not have the knowledge that the indigenous people had about how moody this river can get. And now we're zooming forward again to 1938. In 2 days, in February and March 1938, it rained as much as it usually does in an entire year in Los Angeles. That is about 16 inches of rain total that LA gets in a year. All in 2 days. So you can just imagine all of that rain funneling from all over the mountains out here, all through into the river here, and it just screwed everything up. It knocked over bridges, it took houses down, it took down the railroads, it took out factories. There was billions of dollars in damage in today's dollars. Over 100 people died. And so LA decided, we have to do something about this. If this is going to happen once in a while, we have to fix this problem somehow. And we still want more people to come here, so we still want to develop up to the edge. So how do we fix this? There were two ideas. One idea, proposed by the Olmsted brothers, the brothers who designed Central Park in New York City. They said, how about let's build a series of parks all along the river? We'll call it the Emerald Necklace because it's all green. And we can build the parks on the edges so that when it does flood, it floods up into the parks, waters the plants. And then in all the rest of the time of the year when it's not raining, the people get to enjoy the parks. We can walk our dogs and have a picnic and play soccer, whatever we want to do in a beautiful park. Sounds pretty nice, right? Pretty ideal. That was one idea. The other idea, cute with the parks, I like that, but we just need to make sure we don't flood again. We need to get the water from here to the ocean and not destroy anything along the way. We want to dig up the river, cement it over, and rush the water out of here. Two options, parks or cements. Which one did we choose? Obviously we chose the cement one. There's the cement right there. But in doing so, in choosing cement over parks, in choosing to carve out the river and cement it over, what did we lose? We lost the life and livelihood of this river. Now, this is a pretty unique stretch of the river that I'm in right now. There are 3 parts that they could not cement over. The river said no. Here, the water table is so high, the water that's in the ground beneath us, almost everywhere we go, is so high up to the edge that when they tried to cement it over, the cement wouldn't dry, it would break apart, it would get washed down. The river said, no, you can't cement this part. And as a result, we have this lovely little ecosystem here in the middle of the river, which is pretty beautiful and stunning. And the rest of it, it doesn't have this at all. It still has some life, it has birds, it has fish, but this part is still a little bit wild. And it gives us a taste of what it once looked like. And what does this all mean, right? What does it mean that we progress, right? Maybe it's just progress and humankind is controlling nature so that we can develop and advance all the things that we want to as a society. And that's all well and good. But I like to think that we could have chosen those parks. We could have left this a wild space in the middle here. We could have lived in balance like the indigenous Tongva people did. We could have protected it. This ecological system that lives here. So to me, I mean, you can do whatever you want with this information, and it's up to everyone to kind of process that and think about it. What it means to me is that I want to protect wild spaces, any of them that are left. I want to talk to my city councilman in Los Angeles and ask them to make more of the Los Angeles River look like this, so we can bring it back. We can bring back more of that balance, more of that ecosystem, more of the life that can exist here. It makes me want to be a little bit more of an activist. And I think we're all thinking about activism a little bit more lately, and thinking about justice and the types of the beauty that we could have through this river that was once the artery of life flowing through this area. And the areas that it flows through downriver where it's a cement ditch, those areas do not have access to a lot of parks. So I want to make sure they can have access to nature like I have access to it right here. So it makes me fired up. It makes me want to live in balance in my own life and try and allow others to experience this balance with nature as well. So I hope you enjoyed this little trip down memory lane of Los Angeles. Maybe it sparked some ideas in you too. I hope so. And I'll catch you on a video, another river, or another park, or maybe my backyard real soon. I'll see ya. Hey, if you like my video, maybe give me one of those digital kind of likes too. I'm an outdoor environmental science educator and a naturalist, and I love to teach, but especially learn about this big, beautiful planet of ours. If you do too, check out my other videos and maybe give me a subscribe. I think they're good for kids of all ages.